Hello everybody. Welcome from Rome, Italy. Jonathan and I are here broadcasting live to you from our apartment. And we are super excited to dive into this topic that is deeply relevant to a lot of you ladies who are on the path to marriage. You are currently in the journey of dating for marriage. You're looking for your husband, and this may be one of the mistakes that you are making. So in this video, what we're going to dive into is the number one vetting mistake that we see with single women who are dating for marriage. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, and when you make this mistake, which is so common, and I think you're gonna, in this discussion, I want to talk about what's going on in the culture.
Yes.
That's getting so many people, like it's almost like taught to make this, it's being taught. And so when you make this mistake, it will constantly stop you from meeting good men or taking it further with the men.
Yes.
And you may not even recognize these are good men. So when women learn this mistake and what to do instead,
yes,
we almost if they're coachable, committed, consistent, they get their partner. So I thought it was interesting that this was number one, because at first I was like, oh yeah, this is number one. And it's so avoidable, but the majority of ladies out there, I think, that are single do this.
Yeah, and it makes sense too why women do this. Like, I think part of it is in the culture, like what you shared, but I think a lot of women have been kind of through the ringer in their relationship lives, right? Like, they've been through a lot of things that they don't want, and they've had a lot of experiences that were perhaps traumatic or created just a lot of like disappointment and heartbreak even in their journey. And so
100%.
I think it's almost normal for a woman to like do this because it's the most natural response in some ways for her to like make sure, even though it doesn't actually resolve the issue that she's dealing with. But I think in some ways it's almost like the most natural response for a woman who doesn't want to repeat the same experiences again, and for her to do this exact thing that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, it's a natural defense. And I assume everyone has been hurt in love. So it's natural, but also this defense system is what pushes men away.
Yes.
It really is what it says. It's defending, but it's also not letting in. And I think to get a man who will defend you, there's a balance here of what we're going to talk about. So
let's talk about the cultural element of it, though, because you mentioned that, and I thought that was really fascinating that you brought that in, because I think that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah, but I like that you said it's also natural, because it's these, and it can be a combination too. So
I think so too.
So what is it, Claudia? We've built a little bit
We built it up, yes.
Yeah.
So the number one vetting mistake that we see with women in dating as they're on the path to dating to marriage is that they have a list in their head, and on that date when they meet a man, they are judging, they are critiquing, they are scrutinizing this man, they are measuring him against the list in her head. Okay, and one of the reasons, like we said, that women do this is because often a woman has gone through a lot of stuff, right, in her past. She's been through the ringer in her relationship life, and she's experienced a lot of what she doesn't want. So it can be the most natural thing to be like, okay, I don't want this, right? I do want this. Here's my list, and I've got my list in my head, and I'm checking the boxes, and I'm on this date with this man, and I'm just, instead of really being present with him, instead of just being in the presence of this man and just receiving him and enjoying him and just being present with him and seeing how it goes, right? What she'll do is she'll like have this list, this checklist. Does he check this box? Does he check this box? Is he 6'3", right? Or higher? Okay, what kind of car does he drive, right? How are his table manners? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? And what it does is that it puts a woman in her head, first and foremost, this kind of like takes her out of her body, it takes her out of her heart, it takes her out of her receptive feminine essence, and it puts her in a place of really like being in her head, being in her mind, and even like being in her ego, right? So there's this, and really like being almost like guarded or walled or prickly. We often say that women come to us and they have this sort of invisible barbed wire around their hearts. Like we said before, that she's put up in an effort to protect herself from getting hurt. But what that does is, what does it do, honey?
Okay, yeah, and I'm realizing there's different, like this is I'm protecting myself. When we get into what's the culture's doing, there's something else going on.
Yes, we talk about that as well.
I'm suddenly realizing this. This is called the resume date. Maybe you've even been on some where the men did it to you, because men can do this too.
Men can do it.
Men just, like, they can feel it. We often say men aren't sensitive. They are sensitive to this. It's a way to go in controlling. You're actually going in with masculinity. So it's almost like man meeting man. And he's going to sense that. I got a lot of these when I lived in New York City, and I never had a second date with them. And it was like, so what do you do? Sometimes they say, what do you make a year?
People ask that.
And it just, there was nothing about interest and passions, compatibility.
Yeah, right.
Like, do we have a little bit of early chemistry going here?
Yeah.
Do you fit the list? And I saw so many of these women, very beautiful. I'm thinking of one community in general that I would hang out with. It was like this very intellectual salon of semi-famous people and stuff, but I just saw them always go on these list dates, and they would just stay single for years on end. And I learned to stop dating in that circle. It was so bad.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, and so I call the resume date man repellent. And the resume date is when you really come in with a pretty checked list, and that's what the date is about. It's almost like you're not even seeing him or hearing him. You're just waiting to check the boxes, yes or no.
Yes, that's right.
And I think the thing that I realize this does is that other situation, the all or nothing we see, where a lady goes on a first date and it's like, he's my husband or he's not. It's like all or nothing. You never want to be all or nothing on a first date. No or yes. Now, obviously, there are sometimes you want to say no, like it's obvious. But I think this list, he didn't conform to the list, creates he's not my husband way too early. And we've had a lot of ladies think, well, he didn't fit things perfectly. And then 3, 4, 5 days later, it's like, wow, I think this is a person of my life. And they would have knocked him out with the old pattern they were doing.
What I almost see it as is like a woman, she's got her guard up so high, right? It's like, it's up to here, and it's like, she won't let herself actually receive him. She won't actually like take him in, and really be in his presence and receive him and enjoy him and see if she enjoys him, right? And have fun with him and feel into her body how she feels around him versus like going into her head. To me, it almost feels so objectifying too, because it's like, it's like she's seeing him almost as an object that he has to conform to. Like he has to be this object for her to, for him to like fit her preferences, for him to get to the next stage of whatever it is. But it's so dehumanizing and so objectifying. And women don't realize that they're doing this.
But that's modern dating. I mean, one of the number one dilemmas, and we'll call it out with our clients, is you're in your head. If people are complaining about how hard it is and all the dates they've been on, I know they're too much in their head.
Yeah.
What's really beautiful with the work we do is women, I love doing this. Their Cinderella season kicks open, and instead of figuring it out, they go on a date and feel it out.
Yeah.
And they're receptive in their feminine energetics.
Yes.
And then he spoils her, and then she gets more in her feminine energy, and the conversation uplifts, and there's this kind of little magic chemistry that proves.
Yes.
Because honestly, you cannot, really want to get this across, you cannot vet a man without being in your feminine essence. If you're in your brain, it will not trigger his heroic instinct at all. And then you'll say things like, there are no good men out there, which is not true. I would say minimally that 30% of men are totally marriageable. But when you come in like that, you can't let them in, there's no room. Whereas if you open up and get in your feminine receptivity with safety, a lot of magic can start happening. And then the vetting process can happen in a much more chill way, because we don't want you to throw out your brain. We want to keep reason.
Yes.
This is like reason versus like hyper logic, I feel. I'm in my head, this, did you pass the test?
It's like discernment versus judgment. I feel like there's a difference. Like judgment is like, oh, he doesn't fit the list, check, right? Putting him under a microscope and sort of looking at him through this very narrow lens, right? Is he my husband? Is he
Right,
my husband?
yeah.
Does he fit the bill, right?
Yeah.
Versus discerning, right? And like, we can't really know who a man is until we receive him. And this is a point that we keep coming home to again and again and again with our clients, because it's like, again, a lot of our clients will come with this list, or they'll start off in our program with a list or in their head, or like, can you help me find this man I've been trying to manifest since I was 25 or whatever.
Oh,
right?
we're gonna get into that, yeah.
Here's my list, can you help me find this? And I'm just like, well maybe, right? But is your list really serving you, right? Because if you show up on the date with a list, again, it's like you're leading with your ego versus your heart, and you're not actually taking him in. You're actually not going to elicit the kind of response you want from a man. You're going to trigger his instinct to really run away and find somebody who does receive him, right? And who doesn't make him feel like he's being put under a microscope or on a job interview or whatever. And so I think that's a really important distinction to make.
Yeah, I think it's controlling. Like, I think men are a little bit more controlling naturally, and that's a good thing if it's not turned up too far, because, you know, pay the bills, take care of things, this. But on the feminine perspective, it's not what the men are signing up for. They don't want to marry a controlling, judgmental person. They want someone in their feminine essence, sweet, appreciative. And when women go out with that vibe, I then wait to see if his hero instinct triggers. And if he starts being like, wow, I've never been treated like this with a woman. This is so cool. And then she gets more into it, and then he steps up more. This is how I listen to the men.
And then you get into this positive feedback loop in your dating life versus just missing the mark, missing the mark, missing the mark. Oh, there's no good men, there's no good men. And, you know, and then collapsing into disappointment and just coming to the conclusion that there really aren't any good men out there, and that you're always going to be single, and God has forgotten about you and all the things.
Yeah.
So
it's really kind of an epidemic too.
Loop
this is like, I think this is like tragic, and people get stuck at this stage all the time and never wonder why they don't have that soulmate epic love. Something we're going to be teaching in our vetted course coming up is the stages of this. And you can't just rush from stage to stage and do it in your head. You do need to go through it, but you need to do it with your feminine essence, receiving him, taking him in. And it's amazing when you chill out and maybe even slow it down a little bit, it accelerates this process. People that have been single for decades can find their partner in a few months. And it amazes me how actually focused this journey can be, and quick, can be like sped up, but it can't be done through that. And I think that's another thing, is people are rushing to the end. You fit to this. And I even see sometimes they do fit the bill. And so they'll claim him. This is the guy. This, and often those guys are kind of narcissistic.
He's definitely the one.
He's definitely the one. He's got this great job, and they put that out with the fantasy is there. But, you know, we want the fairy tale, not the fantasy.
Exactly. So well said. I think one of the reasons why women have a hard time with this too is because they don't want to waste their time. Especially if they've been on a lot of dates, they've been on a lot of bad dates, and so it can kind of put them in this mode of like, oh, I don't have time for this. This is just a waste of my time. I'll go through the motions of dating, but like this guy, right? And it's very like, she'll get into this mode because she feels like she doesn't want to waste her time, because your time and your energy are precious. Yes. But the thing is, you're never, ever going to see if a man is a good man for you unless you receive him first, unless you go on a journey with him, unless you lower your drawbridge, unless you bring your guard down, unless you throw away your list and actually receive him over a period of a few dates, a few weeks, and a few months, and really see how this goes, how this vetting process goes. So we start in our feminine essence, ladies. We start in receptivity. We got to receive him first. And then when we receive him with an open heart, throwing away the list, lowering the drawbridge, just being in his presence and receiving him, what that does, like Jonathan was saying, it brings out the best in him. It triggers that masculine heroic instinct, that chivalry instinct to want to come closer, to want to pursue, to want to give, to want to continue to show up with consistency and chivalry and nobility if he is a good masculine man, right? If he's not a good masculine man, then you will know very quickly. But the thing is, you'll never know unless you lower your guard. You won't ever know unless you lower your guard. Okay, so this is the number one mistake that we see with women making, and it is costing them. It's costing their husband. It's costing them their husband. It's costing them marriage. It's costing them being single for years or decades when they don't want to be. And we are so passionate about this work. We are so passionate about helping women, supporting women to really dial in their dating process, dial it in, and really become clear on some of these blind spots, on some of these mistakes that perhaps you've been making unintentionally, right? Without even realizing it, that are keeping you, that are kind of keeping you in that loop, keeping you in the loop of, oh, there's no good men, keeping you in the loop of, oh, there's no love for me, keeping you in the loop of, I'm just constantly disappointed by what's out there and nobody matches my standards, right? When we hear a woman say, nobody matches my standards, we know she's got some of this going on. She's got the list, right? She's got this whole laundry list in her mind. She's got her walls up super high, and no man, no mortal man can pierce through that, right? So the thing is, it's okay for you to have desires. It's a good thing for you to have deal breakers and non-negotiables and true standards, right? Like, these are things that you absolutely do need on the journey to love, and these are things that we're going to help you clarify in our upcoming program Vetted. But that is completely different from the list, like the list of preferences that she might call standards or she might call requirements, but they're really things that don't matter all that much. Like, what kind of car does he drive? Like, how much money does he make? And sure, you don't want a man living in his mother's basement. Okay, that's completely understandable. You want somebody who's gainfully employed, but you don't necessarily need a man who drives a Maserati and makes 7 figures and, you know, all of these things that we tend to really prioritize that don't really matter. And you often ignore, or women often ignore, the things that really do matter. Yeah. Like, what is his character, right? Are you guys aligned in your values? Would he make a good husband? Would he make a good father to your future children? And these are questions that, again, you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, is he going to be a good husband? Is he going to be, like, this is a journey that you go on over a few weeks, a few months. Really, it doesn't have to take longer than 3 months. And if it is, then we have another situation, right? That your standards are too low and we need to raise the bar a little bit. But there's a difference between deal breakers and non-negotiables and true standards versus like having this egoic list of preferences that are really just what your ego has. It's really just a wall that's been erected, that you have erected around your heart to make sure that you're safe, to make sure that you're never going to get hurt again, to make sure that you never really open yourself up to the possibility of being hurt by somebody, especially if you've been hurt in the past, right? So this is something that women will do. This is a very clever strategy that women who've been through a lot of bad experiences in love will do in an effort to protect themselves. But ultimately, it's just, like Jonathan said, it's men repellent. It's going to make him go in another direction. It's going to make him want to go in the direction of a woman who really does receive him, who is warm and welcoming and soft and receptive, right? And sweet, okay? So this is stuff that we're gonna work on in our program Vetted. So we're gonna work on releasing some of these walls that you may have around your heart. We're gonna like go into the body, go into the heart, and like really go deep into the soma to actually clear some of this stuff out so you can walk around as this receptive woman, this inviting, warm, welcoming woman who is welcoming your future beloved home, essentially, right? So you can show up on dates receptive, you can throw out the list, and you can really clarify for yourself what truly matters when vetting for a husband, and then maybe some of the things that, yeah, you need to let go of. You need to let go of those expectations. You need to let go of those preferences. You need to let go of these impossible standards that are just going to keep you in a cycle of being perpetually single.
Yeah,
I'll get off my soapbox.
No, this is great. And I want to get into this cultural thing of impossible standards, because there is a love industry of, they're always single. All these single goddess love coaches and feminine empowerment. There are just so many single people teaching, don't lower your standards. Don't ever. Yeah. And I kind of agree with that, but it's always. Yeah. Remember, you were in that group. If he only makes $130,000 a year, he doesn't get a second date. And there's all this. He doesn't pay for your stocks. It's like, wait a second. Yeah. Let's have him get you a coffee or brunch, and then let's move to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. It's just like, and I know. Maybe it's defense, it's giving me a lot more compassion hearing this. But I also know a lot of times there's just too much fantasy going on.
Yes, I think a lot of that is the culture that we live into. It's like you only see people's, really like so many of the relationships that we're watching, that we're looking at are just like social media highlight reels. Like that's all you're seeing, right? Like that's all that you're seeing of that person's relationship. And you're seeing like, you're seeing, the pretty picture, you're seeing the couple on vacation or whatever, you're seeing people talk about their relationships, but you really don't know, right? But again, it puts us in this space of having these like unrealistically high and expectations. And of course, we want you to have good expectations, we want you to have high standards, but not to the point that you're just disqualifying amazing men, material men, marriage-minded men who would make an amazing husband, who wants to provide, who wants to protect, who wants to lead, who shows up in his masculine essence authentically, right? Versus all of this other stuff that we see in social media or whatever it is. So yes, it's really, really important, ladies, to understand this difference between the fantasy list and your true deal breakers and non-negotiables. And the places where that maybe there's more flexibility, and maybe you need to lower your guard a little bit, and so you can receive men, and you can go on a journey of them and seeing, wow, this guy who started out as a 5 or 6, right? After each date, after each encounter that I have with him, I'm feeling a little bit safer. I'm having a little bit more fun. I'm enjoying him a little bit more. The conversation's flowing easily. I'm feeling more attraction to him. Wow, we have so much in common. Wow, there's so many aligned values. Wow, we have this vision that aligns for the future. Wow, right? But that's not something we usually know on the first date. And trying to know that on the first date is like, again, it's I get it, you don't want to waste your time, but so many ladies that come to us are passing, they don't even realize it, they are passing up amazing marriage-minded men because they're vetting from their preferences versus receiving him first and seeing how he shows up in response to her full feminine embodiment.
Yeah, I think of a recent success, our client Ines, who did a podcast with us recently, if you want to check it out. But the guy she's with, who claimed her first date, she didn't think he was all that attractive, but he showed up pretty well, and she gave him a second date and a third, and now she's totally in love. This is the guy, and he claimed her, and she's having her Cinderella season. He's just spoiling her,
buying her flowers, surprising her with picnics, making her cheesecake.
I mean, he got flowers when he was out of town, and someone specially delivered it. Like he really is on top of it. And they're that couple. They're that couple that you want. They're having their international romance, and she would have knocked this off before she learned this process.
If she had gone on that first date with a list.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't match this, he doesn't match this. I think he was maybe not like as tall as she wanted or something like that.
This guy
ended up being like...
This guy's ridiculously attractive, by the way. So the fact, and it just shows you that these blind spots are all over people, and they think the dating industry is hard, there's no good men, it's overcomplicated.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say about fast, like
Yes.
time. Like you were saying that ladies don't want to waste their time. Well, I have the list because I don't want to waste my time. But you've been at it for 5 years.
Yeah.
We would find a partner for you within, max 9 months. Like usually this process doesn't last longer than that if you're coachable and things like that. And so I say back to them, I feel the same way. Claudia and I, if we knew this process, we would have got married way earlier.
Yeah.
It's one of our biggest regrets in life is not knowing this.
Yeah.
And so teaching others and taking them through this, it's a very specific steps and stages. And if you learn to be in your feminine essence and receive and appreciate and drop that list, but still have your non-negotiables.
Yes.
You then get to the next stage.
Yes.
And then you get to apply those skills and learn the next stage of it, and the next, and the next. And that's what's so cool about it. There are these gateways, and you know exactly where you're at. Everyone seems so confused on love when it's
Yes.
really, it's a skill and it's a linear progression if you're going for marriage.
Yes.
And it can be learned. I feel like that's one of our huge messages to the world. Everyone's throwing spaghetti on the wall and getting hurt in love and frustrated and not getting their person,
Yes.
their kingdom marriage, when it can be learned.
Yes.
And it's a lot easier than some other things, I find.
It really is. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science at all. But it does. There is a specific process that actually gets results and bears good fruit. And then there's things that women do, again, from an unconscious place, that is not getting them the kinds of results that they want. They're not finding their person.
Yeah.
And that can be a little hard to hear.
And it's the same with the men. We're not just like ladies don't know this. And we're admitting we didn't know this. So it's not like we're
We
blaming.
had to earn this wisdom. Yeah, for sure.
This is hard-earned wisdom that we want to share as a message
Yeah.
with the world. But what's so cool is if you have a good man, and we've never had a bad one, when you do this vetting process, the yahoos get knocked out real quick.
Yes.
Second date max, and you get a good man, but he learns this with you. You're not leading him. It's this inspiration, and one of you knowing the way, it helps the whole dance work out. I've heard polarity people say you both need to know it for it to work. That's not this case here.
No.
Like when you know it and guide it, and you can even sometimes hit the pedal and hit the brakes in a way that through invitation and inspiration, he will get it as well. So you don't have to both know this for it to work out.
Yes, I love that you mentioned that, because that's exactly. Yeah, so shall we share a little bit more about what we have upcoming?
Absolutely. We have a 7-week master course to guide you through these specific steps of dating.
Yes.
It's a streamlined course at a fraction of our Kings Road program to get you into your Cinderella season.
Let's talk about that. What is the Cinderella season? Like, we use that language. You came up with that. I love that term so much. But like, for women who are not familiar with our work, or just having been in our world for very long, like, how would you define the Cinderella season?
It is where men spoil you and you have that dating life you've been dreaming of. The ones that you see other people have or in the movies. It means usually you need a couple high quality suitors, but the men are treating you, they're taking you to places like the museum, the opera, horseback riding, rooftop gardens, and you're enjoying the process. I always say to these poor women, poor you, your way to get married, this is the only way through, is the Cinderella season. You're going to have to love, adore, enjoy, and have a lot of fun on the last time you'll ever be single.
Yeah.
So it's really being receptive and kicking back and let the men treat you in a word I don't hear enough in the love coaching industry, with chivalry, with ongoing, consistent chivalry.
Yes. So good. So good. One of the things that we really want you to get to a place of after you spend the 7 weeks with us is really being able to just start attracting a much higher caliber of man into your life. Not unrealistic standards, not fantasy standards, not like, oh, he's got to be 6'5", finance guy with blue eyes, trust fund, right? Like, we're not looking for that, but like a good man, like a solid man, a man who like you actually admire, a man you actually look up to, a man that you really could see as like a potential husband, right? So this is something that we're really going to be diving into on this journey, this vetted journey. So those of you ladies who are interested, we're going to put the link below. And if you have any questions, you're free to just message me or Jonathan. And we have, we have an early bird right now, an early bird special that is available until next Monday. And then it'll go up just a little bit after that. But yeah, we would love you ladies to join, those of you who are resonating with what we're saying, those of you who perhaps have been going on to dates with the list and sort of, you know, judging men against the list in your head. And again, we're not judging you, we're just noticing, we're pointing out a pattern that we see a lot of women have. And we get it that often it comes from this place of trying to like defend yourself from the past and not really go through the same experiences that you've had. But we gotta throw that out, and you gotta come into this deep, beautiful, receptive, feminine space. So you actually can see who responds to you, who shows up for you when you show up this way. And then Jonathan said you really enter your Cinderella season, which that's what the space we want you to be in at the end of these 7 weeks, okay? So, yeah.
I'd also like to say it's for women that want to fall in love with dating again and to be treated really well and to know how to date and know what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, and so Claudia and I will both be guiding you through it. Some are going to be just with Claudia for feminine embodiment, but what's so fun is we're going to be taking you through the dating process so you know what to do. And I can even we'll have Q&A so I can do some man whispering on what's going on. And yeah, so the early bird's coming up. Just click on the link and you can read all the details there.
Hope to see you there. Ciao for now.